Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is actually one that I was gonna do 4 or 5 months ago, but I decided not to. And actually, we're gonna talk about the inspiration for the hit Netflix show Stranger Things. If you don't know what Stranger Things is, I highly recommend that you go and watch this show. It's a really good show. Because let me tell you, it's such an intriguing storyline because you want to know the Duffer Brothers chose this laboratory kind of experiment of otherworldly stuff for the whole inspiration for the show. Ironic enough, Stranger Things was originally not called Stranger Things. It was called Montauk. David Harbour has actually talked about it. He plays Hopper in Stranger Things, and he said that he thought Stranger Things wouldn't sell as Stranger Things, but as Montauk. So Stranger Things is based off of a conspiracy theory that not a lot of people actually talk about or have heard of. And if you've heard of this theory, please comment down below if I missed anything in my research, because when I was doing research for this, it was so difficult to find anything on this case. Like, very difficult to find anything on it. So, very similar to what I just said about Stranger Things, how it was originally called Montauk. The Montauk Project, which is the theory that really made its first appearance in the media in 1992 with a self-published book by Preston B. Nichols called The Montauk Project: Experiments in Time. But keep in mind, there were already rumors that the American military had been conducting experiments in the psychological warfare on the eastern end of Long Island as far back as the mid-1980s. But this book just added fuel to the fire. Like, they just added stuff to it. Camp Hero, which is a camp that the U.S. military used, Montauk Air Force Station, were said to be the hubs of this psychological research. And the man who made the book, he begins by saying that he wrote the book after recovering memories of his time as a researcher for the project, and then goes on to an account detailing the interior of the facilities, its procedures, advanced technologies, and numerous paranormal incidents he claims to have witnessed at these places. So after the book was published, more people started coming forward to say that they too had been involved in the research conducted by the Montauk Project, beginning the process of circular reinforcement that is the essential mechanism of a conspiracy theory. Basically, they were the ones that created this conspiracy theory that the U.S. government was doing the psychological warfare project experiment thing at these two places. In terms to Nichols' claims, his book goes into the experiments in the mind control and telepathy thing, which is very similar to what Eleven can do in Stranger Things and what Papa, which is Dr. Brenner, was trying to do with these children. Apparently they opened space-time portals to other dimensions, they have made contact with alien life, and the abduction of runaway children. All of this is happening under the authority of a U.S. military program financed by Nazi gold recovered during World War II. So basically, they were doing all this really crap stuff with money stolen from the Nazis. So, the Montauk Project actually intersects the long-standing and somewhat well-known conspiracy theory regarding the so-called Philadelphia experiment of 1943. According to the lore, the U.S. military was trying to find ways to bypass Nazi radar during World War II by using electromagnetic fields. There are various versions of the story that say that the military successfully developed a technique that rendered the USS Eldridge, stationed at a naval base in Philadelphia, not just invisible to radar, but completely invisible to anyone's naked eye. Even better to this conspiracy theory of the Philadelphia project is the ship was supposedly then transported through a hole in time and space to Norfolk, Virginia, which is more than 200 miles away. When the ship reappeared at the Philadelphia Naval Base several minutes later, some crew members had been fused into the bulkheads of the ship or had rematerialized inside out. The crew members who weren't driven insane from that experience on the ship, they were in so-called hyperspace bubble that existed outside of space and time. When I was reading that, researching, I went, what in the God's earth is wrong with people? But in 1984, a basically completely forgotten movie was actually made about the Philadelphia experiment, and it was titled The Philadelphia Experiment. Ironic. Could only wonder what the movie's about. So in the movie, a 57-year-old man named Al Bielek, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, a 57-year-old man named Al Bielek saw the movie in 1988. He claimed that he experienced an overwhelming sense of deja vu. Using New Age therapies and practices, Al said that he was able to unlock a massive storage of repressed memories about his extensive involvement, not just in the Philadelphia experiment, but in something called the Montauk Project as well, and that the two of them were intertwined, suggesting that his memories had been erased by the CIA's MK-Ultra, which is a whole different video in of itself, techniques to maintain the secrecy of the program. Al also claimed that his real name was Edward Cameron, and that he and his brother Duncan Cameron were crew members on the Eldridge in 1943 when they were in their 20s. Al told this story to an audience at the Mutual UFO Network Conference in 1990, saying not only that the Philadelphia experiment was real, but that he and his brother were aboard the ship when it went through time and space to Norfolk, Virginia. He said that none other than Nikola Tesla himself had engineered the equipment that caused the Eldridge to break out of space and time, and that had even opened a wormhole to the future, which dropped the two brothers in the middle of Montauk's Camp Hero on August 12th, 1983. So, real quick, Nikola Tesla, he was actually a Siberian-American inventor, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, and futurist. He's actually best known for his contributions to the design of modern AC electricity supply system. He's best known for an AC. He's basically known for an air conditioner. So by this point in Al's story, it kind of becomes convoluted, but he said that him and his brother Duncan joined up with the Montauk Project, which had grown out of the electromagnetic research of the Philadelphia experiment. Al claims that he befriended the man who wrote the book, Nichols, in the 1970s, and they together developed the Montauk chair, which was a mind-reading device that was a central component of the entire project and helps provide a window into specifics of its exposed research. Nichols detailed his alleged work on the chair in his book, claiming it used electromagnetism, that's a big word, to further the psychic powers of whoever sat in it. Duncan Cameron, Al's brother, happened to have substantial psychic abilities, including the ability to manifest objects with his mind using this device. And in the Montauk Project, they supposedly used the chair to similarly open portals through space and time. Nichols describes another experiment in his book that is curiously similar to remote viewing, which is a paranormal concept that is actually researched by the CIA. Nichols wrote in his book that the first experiment was called the seeing eye. With a lock of a person's hair or other appropriate object in his hand, Duncan can concentrate on the person and be able to see as if he was seeing through their eyes, hearing through their ears, and feeling through their body. He could actually see through other people anywhere on the planet. But what's more disturbing than the remote seeing or any other experiment that actually happened in the Montauk Project is that they would actually abduct young children. Some of these children were no older than 4 to use as subjects in the project's various experiments. Like, that is shocking and disgusting to know that these young children were being used. Nichols referred to these underage abductees as the Montauk Boys and said that they were snatched off the street to even taken from their homes. At least one man has claimed to similarly recover his traumatic memories of the Montauk Project, just as Al and Nichols had. Stuart Swerdlow, a 52-year-old man living in Michigan, told The Sun in 2017 that he was one of the Montauk Boys Nichols describes, and that he and others like him were subjected to horrific abuse. When the experiment started, they targeted expendable boys like orphans, runaways, or the children of drug addicts, the kind of kids no one would really come looking for. The aim was to fracture your mind so they could program you. They would change the temperature from very hot to very cold, starve you, then overfeed you. I remember being beaten with a wooden pole, and they loved to hold your head underwater until you nearly drowned. That was effective. It makes a person likely to listen to and obey their rescuer. They also used LSD to put our brains into an altered state, Stewart said. So all of the project's experiments finally came to an end in the early 1980s. Nichols claimed when things finally went too far, even for the researchers responsible. So Nichols claimed that whenever someone was sitting in the Montauk chair, and they would, whatever they envisioned would show up on a transmitter screen before being manifested to the real world in either solid or transparent form. The reason for the Montauk project being shut down was after Nichols and Duncan Cameron, along with other participants, rebelled against the project when something especially sinister was manifested. We finally decided we'd had enough of the whole experiment. The contingency program was activated by someone approaching Duncan while he was in the chair and simply whispered, "The time is now." At this moment, he let loose a monster from his subconscious, and the transmitter actually portrayed a hairy monster. It was big, hairy, hungry, and nasty. But it didn't appear underground in the null point. It showed up somewhere on the base. It would eat anything it could find and smashed everything in sight. Several different people saw it, but almost everyone described a different beast, Nicole said. He also said that they had to destroy all of the equipment in order to remove this creature from existence and send it back to its original dimension, or something to that effect. Camp Hero were actually flooded with semen once all the equipment was destroyed and the project was shut down, with anyone involved in the project having the memories of the project suppressed using MKUltra techniques. The decommissioned facilities at Camp Hero are still standing, however, attracting curious passerbys and local townsfolk to this day, regardless of what actually happened inside. So the Sage Radar facility has become a notable landmark for boats sailing around the Fork of Long Island. So it was left standing when the Air Force shut down the last of its air traffic control operations at the facility in 1984, giving the site an eerie, disquieting presence. And the military, for its part in these two conspiracies, has actually disputed anything like the Montauk and basically said it never happened, it never took place on Long Island. But these sorts of denials often do little to make people not believe it, especially since the US government actually denied their research into mind control and remote viewing just as much as assuredness as they denied the whole Montauk project, right up until the research documents on MKUltra and other similar projects were declassified. So it's only a matter of time before, paperwork comes out of like the MKUltra, or not MKUltra, like Montauk and the Philadelphia project come out and are declassified and everyone's told. While most locals likewise consider the Montauk story to be basically just a fabrication, somebody's imagination, they aren't entirely convinced by the U.S. military's insistence that Camp Hero and the Air Force Station facilities were entirely above board either. No doubt stories have been embellished. Paul Monte, the president of the local Chamber of Commerce said, "But I don't doubt that things went on there in the Cold War years. Even today, the base is patrolled and watched. They obviously don't want people in there even now." Filmmaker Christopher Garanto, whose documentary The Montauk Chronicles explores the history of the subject, believes that it is important to consider a few precedents before writing off the entirety of the Montauk project. "The more I researched, the more I've begun to believe it is not ludicrous," Christopher said. "We know there was military interest in paranormal phenomenon. Project Stargate, which began in 1978 and was later declassified, looked at whether physics could perform remote viewing and see from great distances. MKUltra used vulnerable people like prisoners, so why is it so far-fetched that orphans or runaway boys would be targeted? They seem exactly the sort of subjects who would be easy to take, and Montauk would be the ideal facility. In the winter, it is a ghost town." And as chilling as it is to know that that is a possibility to what actually happened in the Montauk, we will actually never know if Montauk existed, the Philadelphia experiment ever existed. We will just never know. The Montauk project and the outlandish stories associated with it sit squarely within the realm of fiction. Basically, it seems like it would just be completely fake. Like, this is something out of a movie. Ironic enough, there's 4 seasons of a TV show based off of this, and we will probably never know the truth. Maybe in 100 years they'll declassify more paperwork and it'll be about the Montauk project, but we will actually never know because the government denies everything and their involvement in everything. But yep, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video. And remember, you can give me recommendations for videos. There is a Google form on my banner on my channel. You can give me true crime, you can give me cases you want me to cover, you can give me conspiracies you want me to cover, you can give me any video idea. Like I mentioned in this video, MK Ultra, if you want me to do a video on MK Ultra, please comment down below. And remember to hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications and like the video. I will see you guys in the next one.